There's one gaming genre that's been down bad for a while now. Well, two actually, but Ray Civic already made a video about the other one. The genre I want to talk about is PvP first-person shooters. The old ones have been stagnant, trying to recapture their glory days, or more importantly, the growth in revenue that came with it, while the new ones are built from scratch with the goal to make revenue first that surpasses what came before. Both of these groups are unfortunately trying to make games that follow revenue first instead of fun first, and if a game is made with these monetization goals first, then I personally view the game as slop no matter how good the quality of the game may be. For example, I find Black Ops 6 to be a solid game, but it's just another COD game trying to make billions of dollars and has had multiple AI controversies already, like giving out AI art as in-game rewards and replacing voice actors who want proper legal AI voice protection. However, despite how trendy it is for executives of larger studios to have PvP-oriented first-person shooters only be made to make billions of dollars, I think it's interesting that there is at least one decently big game in this genre that clearly wasn't made with the goal of monetization first, and has been my primary choice of game when I get the occasional drive for a PvP experience since its December 2023 release. There's a good chance you've already heard of this game, but what you may not know is that it has spent the last year refining itself, and I believe that it is undoubtedly the best PvP first-person shooter on the market to release so far during the 2020s. The Final's biggest strengths are its presentation, atmosphere, and sandbox. For its presentation, The Finals is a game within a game. It's a virtual world-traveling game show that has contestants competing in a variety of game modes to impress fictional sponsors to earn fame and money. All the sponsors have some fun personality to them, from Ospuz's catchy "Pop, Pour, Perform" slogan to the concept of Holto trying to sell you life insurance for the heat death of our solar system. For the last couple of seasons, players can sign up with one of these three sponsors for loyalty bonus rewards. This has made the Finals' universe feel more alive and has spawned amazing sponsor war memes outside of the game. The maps these competitions take place on are mostly set in different real-world locations, like Seoul, Kyoto, or Las Vegas. One new map is added each season, but these maps are huge and often have multiple variants that make them more dynamic than just about anything else you can play. The wide range of locations also make the maps feel distinct from one another, but there's the Finals advertisements plastered everywhere on the map, which unify them no matter the architecture. It's a perfect balance of variety and cohesive theming that is only further enhanced by being one of the few Unreal Engine 5 games that takes full advantage of the engine. Everything looks stunning and detailed in every frame. There's also the incredible music. Each season gets its own soundtrack that elevates the vibes and really ties the game's experience together. Due to the popular demand, Embark even recently added a jukebox feature that lets you customize which season's tracks you want to listen to, which really shows how meaningful people find this game's soundtrack. The Finals doesn't just look and sound great, it plays great too. Like I said, the sandbox is a major strength of this game. There's a wide weapon and gadget selection that gives new players a bunch of stuff to earn and experiment with. These tools are spread across three classes, light, medium, and heavy, which also add their fair share of complexity to the game because they each have their unique properties such as health, movement speed, and hitbox size. Once you're more comfortable with the game's systems, you start to spend time honing your skills with all the equipment and really learn what clicks with you. There's a lot of room for skill expression with how you incorporate your gadgets into your moment-to-moment gameplay, which is where the meat of the game's fun comes from. Just like with maps, each season keeps expanding all three classes' arsenals with new toys. While success levels vary, the new stuff added tries to give classes new gameplay opportunities that they couldn't do in a previous season. For example, in Season 1, it was very difficult for a light to provide support to their teammate the same way a heavy could do with all its shielding, or a medium with their defibs and heal beam. Gadgets like the Gateway, Thermal Bore, and Gravity Vortex have done a good job moving the needle so that a light can be supportive towards their team if they choose to play that way. Likewise, mediums originally lacked a reliable way to manipulate the terrain, so the Dematerializer replaced Recon Sense as their third specialization. The plays you can make with the Dematerializer really do make it a worthwhile option when weighed against their turret and heal beam, and it plays uniquely from the raw explosive power a heavy can dish out to knock over structures, since it's more surgical in its application. Speaking of which, destructibility is the last and arguably most important piece of the sandbox that makes the finals stand out from any other game you can play. The destruction is why heavy has been my favorite class to choose. Breaking things down with charge and slam, a sledgehammer, or RPG is always satisfying and is the main reason I choose to play the finals over any other multiplayer game if I get the itch to do so. Destruction is also what keeps every match different from the last. You can never predict what walls will get smashed open or which structures will topple over. You have to always be ready to adapt to changes that are out of your control on a second's notice. The game is at its best when everything is an ocean of chaos, and the team that comes out on top is the one who can navigate that current the smoothest. I want to finish off the good section of this game by talking about the cosmetic rewards. Between leveling up, sponsor contracts, and high ranks, the finals offers more cosmetics to be earned as a free game than many full-price games do. Also, the pass adds even more solid cosmetics for a cheap asking price. I've spent $40 on this game since release because I feel that's appropriate for the amount of fun I've received from the game. I have more options for character customization than any other game I've spent a similar amount on, which I'm including a game's base price into those comparisons, like Black Ops 6 being a $70 game, or Helldivers 2 being $40. On top of being cheap, the pass is also ridiculously fast to level through. I don't think I played more than 10 hours of Season 3, and I was able to earn everything not in the bonus tiers. Most games ask for around 50 hours to finish a standard pass, which is a big reason I don't like engaging with them and think they're terrible. I'm a firm believer that battle passes are not okay to have in games due to how they psychologically manipulate people for money based on time investment, but since they're not gambling, most people are unfortunately okay with them. As a certified battle pass hater, the finals is pretty much the only game's pass that feels unpredatory enough to tolerate. Not everything is perfect though. I would love to see the finals join the very few number of games like Helldivers 2 or Deep Rock Galactic that makes passes never expire. It would definitely be a PR boost that would make the finals even more appealing to play. On that note, I want to shift and dig into some of the flaws I think are holding this game back from really popping off with the general public. While this game has cultivated a dedicated crowd to the reasons I just talked about, it's far from a perfect game. Although I will say that Season 5, which is the current season at this video's release, is the strongest this game has ever been from a balancing perspective, and it is in no way, shape, or form a bad game. There are just more areas that I personally would like to see the game improve on and become even better. If there's one thing holding this game back, it's that Embark keeps on fence-sitting whether this game should be a casual, goofy, chaotic mess like Mario Kart, or be competitive with its FPS peers and be, well, competitive with tight balancing and a rigid structure. I'm a huge advocate for them to fully commit to the former. I personally don't play ranked since it's where happiness goes to die, and I said in the sandbox section, the moment-to-moment chaos is why I choose to play the finals. There are two instances where I think this game has dropped the ball in leveraging its awesome, unique sandbox. The first is with the game show events. About halfway through a match, an event will start that modifies the arena. These felt very novel during the game's first season, and I was curious to see how this mechanic would be evolved over time. 1 year later, and there has been very little innovation on this front. There has only been one event added since in Season 2, which was the Retro Invasion that felt half-baked due to not affecting matches that prominently. The next change was that Dead Goes Boom, which made players explode on death, was removed since it unfairly punished melee weapons. I do think this event should return but only have explosions proc from gun kills. The last change was removing these events entirely from ranked since those people are lame. This has also been noticeable in the World Tour events. World Tour was pitched as this version of Cash Out where there would be a unique modifier each week that would spice up matches. Some of them have been interesting, like constant UFOs or health boosts when you deposit a cash box, but most of these events have been some type of XP booster, which is super lame. Also, 3 weeks of the season don't even have anything because they're listed as the opening week. I really want to see events get more of a focus and beefed up over the next year because they're very unique to the game and do a good job elevating that game show identity the finals is going for. The other mechanic that was handled poorly was placing equipment onto objects. When the game first came out, many people, myself included, layered props on the map with explosives for fun, but cheap kills. The community referred to these makeshift explosives as nukes, and some people weren't a fan. Even as a certified explosive junkie, I can admit that nukes were in need of reining in, but the way Embark went about it was just not it. First they tried messing with the physics of red barrels, so they were very inaccurate when items were attached to them. All this did was make people use fire barrels instead. From here, instead of trying to rework the whole system so that it was fun, but a bit more balanced, they just neutered it. C4 was given a long delay if attached to a prop, and fire barrels go about 2 feet if anything's attached to them. I was genuinely so bothered by this change, it almost stopped me from playing this game entirely. This was a staple mechanic that was proudly shown off in the game's launch trailer. There's still this void I can feel in the sandbox, and I hope the creativity this mechanic had can be returned in the future that better rides the thin line of balanced and chaotic. For me, I would like to see one mine or C4 be allowed to be placed on an object without any downsides. After that, additional explosives add no extra damage. This means a gas mine could be put on a red barrel to make a makeshift gas grenade, but a whole team can't dump a dozen mines on a single fire barrel to wipe another team. Another problem that plagues this game, and is one of the most common topics talked about, is the balancing of the light class. It's an interesting problem because, statistically, lights are the worst class as they have the lowest win rate. But oh boy, are lights not fun to fight. Their small hitboxes mixed with fast speed make for some aggravating moments. If I'm not having a good match, then it's usually because there's at least 3 lights in the lobby. Now, I'm totally fine if the other player is better than me, so it has nothing to do with skill, but there's something about the honor of lights that gets to me. You'll be in a match and notice that they have no respect or humility. They thirst for kills even at the detriment of their own team, so if there's more lights, then there's a higher chance you run into this behavior. Sometimes I will think that the light hate is overblown, but then I have a match where a random light on my team is griefing me, and I'm like, well, would you look at the time? The thing that adds to this hate is that you almost never see this behavior from mediums or heavies. I personally think this problem stems from the values between classes being too wide apart from each other. They should be squished a bit closer together. For a basic example, make health values only 50 HP apart instead of 100, and bring movement speeds closer to mediums. I do enjoy playing all 3 classes and rotate between them regularly, and I know not everyone playing light is an honorless heathen, but this is the biggest balancing pain point this game has, in my opinion, despite the mostly positive balance changes this game has had over the last year. The last negative I want to talk about is something that can pretty much undermine my entire claim of the video, which is that the finals is the only recent FPS that isn't slop. This is the only serious stain that taints the finals' public appearance, which is that the match commentators Scotty and June do use voice-to-speech AI generation, and AI generation is pretty much the epitome of slop content. As someone with a more nuanced view of AI, the main difference I see here compared to, say, Black Ops 6 is that the finals was a fresh project built with this tech in mind, while Black Ops 6 has Activision trying to replace voice actors that have worked on their projects for over a decade, which is a massive disrespect to those actors who helped build their legacy. Also, the finals does not have any reports that have revealed Embark giving out AI-generated art like Activision. Obviously, I don't have the knowledge to know the fine print of the deal Embark gave to their VAs. It could turn out Embark gives the same lack of respect as Activision. My guess is we will learn more about how responsibly Embark uses AI as a tool when their second game, Arc Raiders, gets closer to release, so if there is any shady stuff, then hopefully it comes to light. I want to conclude this video by saying that I don't think the finals is a perfect game or an absolute masterpiece. It's a fun time that I think is worth checking out to see if it's for you if you haven't. I just think it's absurd that this game is pretty much the only large-scale PvP first-person shooter to release during the 2020s that was made with the intention of being a fun game first rather than a revenue stream first, and I think that's worth a discussion to appreciate what it's doing. This game has cultivated a very dedicated fan base who maybe glaze the game a bit too much, but it's easy to see why. The finals was not made under billions of dollars of financial research to make the most profitable game in existence, and you can feel that. The devs made this game because they thought it was cool, fun to play, and worth sharing to the world. To me, that's not slop, that's art. There's nothing like the finals, and I don't think anything else will be for quite a while.